What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Ernest Dove, host of the Mets Minor League Report, part of SportsWireRadio.org. That's SPORTZ, WireRadio.org. You can also find me on Twitter X at Ernest Dove and also on my YouTube channel under Ernest Dove for all things Mets, prospects, videos, St. Lucie Mets game highlights, and more. And you could also find me on maxmets.blogspot.com. My guest today is a professional pitcher originally drafted by the Cincinnati Reds in the 2015 draft, later finding his way to the New York Mets organization, where he played from 2016 to 2022. His career numbers with the Mets, playing himself all the way up to the AAA level, as a whole includes a 3.10 ERA, 20 saves, a career K through 9 of 9.56 per 9, and also held opponents overall to a 224 opponent batting average. He elected free agency at the end of the 2022 season, had surgery, and now here we are in 2024. He's 100% healthy. He's poised for a comeback. Or you know what? Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years. I will not do the rest of that saying. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk baseball with the one, the only Joe Zanghi. Joe, how are you, my friend?
Let's go. I'm doing well. It's good to be back with you. It feels like it's been so long since we've been able to connect.
I know, man, but you know what? You're kind of built like LL Cool J, so maybe the comeback thing is going to be a nice theme for me to kind of jump into the intros. Obviously, I'm excited to be back on with you. I know it's been a minute. I know I've been doing my own things, but you know what? You've been doing a lot more important things than me and a lot more important grinding since we've last, kind of last talked and chatted. Again, yep, you're no longer with the Mets organization now, so you've been secretly behind the scenes in your own little witness protection program. And I just wanted to get some of your thoughts on, what's been going on. But again, here we are mentioning you're currently a free agent. So as we jump into things, can you please tell me and tell the audience who hasn't heard from you in a while, hey, what's going on with Joe Zanghi? I remember him. And what kind of arsenal and what kind of things does he have going on now all of a sudden back in 2024?
Oh man, it was definitely been a long year since the surgery. So it was just like rehabbing for a long time. I think it was so important just to get back to a point where I felt like I was 100% before I went out and started to pitch again and started to throw for teams and do all that stuff. I felt like if I didn't go out there and I couldn't be 100%, then when you go out there and not be able to have that and have my best stuff, then I'm just doing myself a disservice at that point. So I just worked really hard on everything, on my mechanics, on my arm slot, on my pitches, on my pitch shapes, and just getting physically ready and trying to be in the best shape of my life to be able to withstand, the grind of the season. So a lot of it was just making sure that all my analytics stuff kind of got back on track. And when I was kind of going through with my elbow, things kind of fell off. They weren't as good as they once were. And I feel like I finally got back to a spot where I can really, throw those things with some conviction and with the movement profiles that, organizations are looking for these days. And the other part of it too is like going out there without the thought of having oh, what's my sweeper at today or what's my fastball vertical, and just having that mindset of just like, all right, like my stuff's there. Let me just go compete with it now and give it what I got.
And again, speaking with the stuff, what are the current pitches that you're throwing now these days?
So right now I'm going four seam with a changeup, with the sweeper, and with more of a gyro slider. So I like to play the sweeping slider and the gyro slider off of each other. They both kind of look the same spin wise. One just moves way more, and the other one just kind of drops. With the four seam, and then mixing a changeup every now and then.
Well, I guess you're definitely keeping up with the times. It's always about the sweeper these days. Apparently, the sweeper or the cutter is where it's at. So yeah, that's pretty excited to hear, man. But again, I do want to get into this for a couple of minutes. Like a lot of times when I talk to some guys, I've been very lucky to talk to some athletes like yourself, even the ones that have gone through surgeries. But now I'm wondering, what's that extra variation of the grind while doing it technically not under an organization's umbrella? Does it make it harder? Is it extra stressful, like fighting back, or what's that process like while waiting on your dream to start over? But then it's like with that cloudiness that comes around it, like how does this all work for you for the last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a grind. It's mentally can be a little bit draining just from the standpoint of like you have no idea what's going to happen. You know, my career could have been over. I wasn't going to let that happen, and it's just how how do I get to the point where I need to be where teams feel the way that I feel about myself? For me, that was a lot. It's physical, it's mental, it's going out there. You have to show that you're valuable in some way or another. And my biggest thing is where can I give value? And if it's, as a mentor to younger guys in a minor league clubhouse, as a guy who's been around, who's kind of gone through it, like so be it. That's what gives me my opportunity, whatever it might be. But it's definitely an uncomfortable feeling while you're going through it. But to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and seeing a lot of my buddies now get their big league call ups, and they're all playing, they're all having great careers up there, and just like and knowing I was at the same level as them, competing, doing just as well as them, like it's in there for me, and that kind of kept my belief going. That watching these guys and how great they are, it gives me confidence that I know I can still do it.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, like sometimes to try to use the Mets references to keep it all Metsy, I think about some of the guys that have kind of gone through some things too. Like I know like a Steven Nagosic who went from up, down, getting DFA'd, coming back. And then you have a guy like Dead Neil Nunez who had like at least a year, multiple years of injuries. He was getting that shot and then he lost the shot from a Rule 5. So you have some of those guys around your like class of sorts for the last few years, and I'm wondering if you even see guys like that, see these pitchers that you were around and assorted with, and then see them kind of make those major league jumps. Is that also like a part of the motivation? Like, hey man, even with health, there's a shot. It's always about timing and health. Now that you have the health again, the timing can come. And do you think about guys like that, like you said, when they do kind of make it, and you see them kind of get to that level?
I mean, I've played with so many guys who I watch them play, and I'm like, how is this guy not in the big leagues? I see it all the time, and especially like Nogo is one of my best friends, and we stay in touch all the time. Just watching what he's grinding through it too. He's had to really bust for his opportunities, and he keeps going out there, he keeps doing it. Then you got your Ryder Ryans, you got your Colin Holdermans, you got these guys who played with coming up, and they have these, sometimes it just takes a different org. I know Holderman got up kind of with the Mets, and then now he's blossomed in the Pirates bullpen, and it's just little things. Sometimes a change of scenery can do it for you. There's so many different factors that go into it, and that's why I'm not shying away from it, because maybe it's something else that somebody else sees or that somebody else knows that can flip a switch for me.
Yeah. And then I guess too, got to ask the question, like what are some of the goals that you're putting on yourself for the 2024 quote unquote season? But what are some of the things you're trying to accomplish now in these months ahead now that you're healthy?
I mean, staying healthy. I think staying healthy is the biggest thing. As long as I stay healthy, you got a shot. Just be out there and pitch, and keep doing that. And just more for me, it's going to be about enjoying it more. I feel like, coming up, I put so much pressure on myself. Like, I got to get to the next level. I got to do this. I call it looking at the black box, like, oh, I hope my, slider was good enough today or whatever it might be, rather than going out there and competing and enjoying the moment. Looking back, like, I don't look back at what my metrics were on some of my pitches. I look back at, the times I had being out there competing and going through the grind with some of my best friends who will be my friends for life. And, I would do anything just to have that part back, let alone, all the other stuff that comes along with it. And I think that's what made it so much fun for me. And that's what I look forward to again.
Yeah, and again, like I was mentioning some of the numbers in my intro, like those are real. A guy who's had a full like 6 year minor league career, everyone, and the numbers. This is overall, all the way from rookie ball all the way to AAA. He's a career 3.10 ERA, which is pretty amazing. And for the opponent batting average to be so low all this time, a 224 for an entire pro career. The K rate is over 9 over 9 per 9. It's over that. You've had a good minor league career. And I wonder too, like, do you ever think about some of these guys? Sometimes I'll turn on my TV. Maybe you're on ESPN, or maybe it's a Mets team that they're playing, or you hear about these guys making their debuts at 29, 30, 31, 32 years old. So you see it happening all the time, be it a bat or an arm. And I know for you, you seem to be one of those guys too, like you're eating innings regardless. So I don't know how much we can get into, oh, do you want to be our starter or a reliever? But even if it is a reliever route, guys make their way. Again, health and timing, 29, 30, 31, 32 guys. You see here these guys in indie ball, Mexican leagues, and then there they are making, back in the major leagues all of a sudden, or even debuting 4 or 5 years later. Do you kind of like envision yourself kind of being one of those guys that will be turning on the TV on ESPN, and there you are, like they're making his debut and they're talking about your whole history as like a build up for excitement?
Yeah, I mean, I play that plays out in my mind every now and then, kind of the story that's built from it, and just going, not giving up, and just keep going. And if there's one thing, I always say, if little me, 13-year-old playing baseball can look at myself now, and if I had like just given it up, how disappointed that little me would have been. So I'm gonna go until the wheels fall off. I say it all the time, like, kill me to take the ball away from me. That's how it's gonna be.
And listen, I think it's going to be exciting to kind of see this ride. I got to know. I got to figure out where you're going to go. Is it going to be affiliated ball? Are you going to be in Korea? Are you going to be in Mexico? Like, I guess I do have to respectfully ask then, Joe. Are there options where you can see yourself going those additional routes as well, or are you? I mean, I know guys sometimes are like, oh man, I'm trying to like get right back into the upper minors. Other guys go to indie ball. Like, are you kind of versatile at this point? Are you looking for just the opportunity, or are you going like all for one for all for affiliated ball?
No, I mean, I'm versatile. I totally get it. I mean, I missed a whole year of pitching, and so
Mm.
even for myself too, just even if it was indie ball, just to go there and get some innings back under my belt, just kind of feel confident again, kind of remember what the game flow is like, kind of get back there. If it was an affiliated job, great. I mean, no matter what, there's going to be work to do. It doesn't change. The game doesn't change. No matter where you are, you still got to pitch. You got to get guys out, and no matter where I go, that's what I'm going to do. And in the long haul, as long as I'm doing that, it'll end up where I need it to be.
I know. I feel like the last I saw, the Long Island Ducks have not as many former Mets as they used to, so maybe they need to add to it. It's always you can never have enough former Mets usually on the Long Island Ducks, but then also, hey, for affiliated ball, again, we're talking about a guy who's been successful his entire career, all the way up to AAA, and now he's 100% healthy, and it just like that's got to be something really exciting. Like overall, how healthy do you finally feel at this point?
Oh, I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life, and feeling so healthy again, which is great. I can't tell you how long I've been waiting to be able to be like, okay, finally, like, I'm healthy. Now it's just a little bit more of a build up process, just to get everything, making sure I'm built up for pitches and being able to throw multiple times in a week. And I feel like I'm honestly like a week away from being exactly where I need to be, just to hop right into a season, because I'm not going to have a spring training. I'm not going to have anything like that. I got to be ready to go from the get go. And so I feel like I'm a week away from being able to do that, kind of throwing my pens pretty, I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. Um, but I'm throwing them often. I'm making sure that I'm healthy. I'm making sure I'm recovering well, having my routine. So I'm ready to go.
I mean, I'm excited to see you no matter where you go. But even before we get on to the next place or the next affiliate, the next organization, might as well at least spend a couple of minutes. Like overall, you talked about it obviously with the probably more of the camaraderie and the teammates. But overall, what was your kind of experiences and thoughts of the Mets organization for the time you were there?
I'm so grateful for the Mets organization. Just the coaches that I had there. I mean, I still text some of my coaches that I had there, to the day, Kevin Bowles, Frank Viola, Ricky Mine. Like, I can text these guys and they're so great. They'll text me back, within a couple hours, and we'll catch up. We'll see how everything's going. And I feel like that just spoke a lot about the people who the Mets brought in. And I can't say enough good things. They really helped me. Like, I felt like they cared about me. And I wasn't a big prospecto or anything. I was kind of just another guy. I was a free agent sign. I had no money invested in me, but they treated me, like I was, and they took their time with me, and They gave me what they had, and I couldn't be more grateful for that.
And that's why I think there's going to be more opportunities to come, man. Uh, and I'm also just trying to think more of the future of Joe Zanghi, man. I know I'm really looking forward to seeing like how things are going to play out with the new age stuff. Do you also use a lot of the analytics that everyone's using as well? Like, have you been in some form of pitching lab? Because the Mets never got one until you left, man. Now all of a sudden there's a pitching lab. Like, are you also kind of one of those guys using the Rapsidos and everything else with pitching labs and analytics?
Yeah, I definitely am. I've definitely used that to kind of shape my arsenal,
Mhm.
and now I'm kind of at the point where I need to like my shapes are there. They're good. Now go compete with them. Don't be worried about if it had enough vertical break on this pitch. Just hey, did this produce a result? And get away from all that stuff. I think that stuff is great up to a certain level. Once you get up to that, double A, triple A level, you got to get outs. Like they don't really care that much about your vertical break if you're not getting outs in the big leagues. If you're getting outs, you're going to pitch in the big leagues. And so to get away from that and understand that everything's all right and just go out there and compete, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And I think maybe with your type of grind, like we probably need to get into it. If you can talk about what are some of the support systems that you've had in place over the years and especially in the last year to even be back on this grind and to take this shot again. Like are there people to thank? Like what kind of like support system and family and loved ones do you have?
Oh, I can't even like begin to get started on this. I mean, obviously my parents, my family, my sisters like have been incredible, so supportive of me. I mean, I told them I was like, I'm going for it. I'm going down to Florida. And I left the next day and they're like, all right, good, finally. Like go, get out of here. Like go do it. But so many coaches, so many trainers, so many gyms that I was working out at, so many different thoughts and you have no idea. It's been eye-opening to realize how many people um really care for me and want to see the best for me. And people who hadn't reached out to me in a long time started to reach out to me and were asking me how I was doing. And it was a blessing. It really was. It really made me want to continue to work harder and just for them, just because they were still there supporting me, hoping that I was doing well. And so many coaches, I mean, Kyle Driscoll, like I would text him, I'd be like, "Hey, how does this look?" And be like, "Oh, try this, try this." It's just, I'm honestly overwhelmed with how many people there are to thank. There's too many to list, but I got to make sure I get to them.
Well, you will. I'll make sure you make a nice long list for when you get to the majors, and then you're gonna have to make this whole speech. It better be written down. Maybe do a video to kind of make sure you say everything right and edit it. So, but again, this is going to be really exciting. That's why I'm glad to have you back on here, and I'm glad for everyone that's going to be tuning in and listening and even watching this kind of interview because I know a lot of people remember Joe Zanghi because of how successful you were. So, everyone, hey, as we start to wrap up, make sure you keep an eye, ear, kind of check some box scores, check the transaction pages in the weeks ahead because Joe Zanghi is on the comeback like LL Cool J. I don't know if he's going to be fighting or what, but although maybe if you want to have a second career, I've heard some things about your golf game or something. So I don't know if there's a backup
Oh
plan.
God.
Uh,
Oh my God. Oh no.
but
Who's divulging my fear of the tee box. Oh my gosh.
so yeah. Hey,
Oh
but you know
no.
what? Let's just say I heard some 80 grade tools that you were showing off at a golf kind of situation in the last kind of couple years. But hey, I heard some good things. Maybe we'll leave it at that. I figured I would kind of end it with something kind of cool like that. But hey, maybe shout out to some people. Let me just randomly just say shout out Steven Vines as another former Mets prospect. I won't say it for any
Oh,
particular reason, but
Stevie. Stevie. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
so hey, shout out to a lot of the former Mets crew that even involves him, and even other guys I want to shout out like Marcel Renteria. Shout out Trey Cobb, like a lot of the guys who
Albert.
are just off and on the different grinds, different kind of aspects of life. I love the idea of everyone giving things their shot. That's why I'm excited again about Joe Zanghi. I want to support you again along the way. I want to see where you end up. Unless, hey, man, I got Duolingo. If you want to get the app and maybe learn another language, if you want to go to Mexican League or Korea or Japan, like, let's make this happen, man.
Oh, I'll be playing. It's just a matter of where, but you'll see me somewhere. I promise you that.
And that we will. So, everybody, hey, thank you again for listening, everybody, and for watching, kind of supporting the show. If you can, please, please, please continue to support me. If you could subscribe to my YouTube channel at Ernest Dub. If you can kind of tune in whenever you can to Sports Wire Radio, sports with the Z, wireradio.org. And hey, if you want all things Mets from the major leagues to minor leagues, if you can check out maxmets.blogspot.com. But hey, you know what? That's it for me today, guys. Shout out and big thank you to you, Joe Zanghi. I look forward to seeing where you're going to be pitching. And again, I want partial credit. So when you do get to the majors, I don't know if it's some kind of video, if you could throw my name out there so I can pat myself on the back. So you see, man, I remember me back in the day. I'm pretty excited for it. But again, thank you everybody for the support. And obviously, thank you everyone who's been supporting Joe Zanghi, who's going to help him get this shot. So thank you to everybody, and I'll see you later. Oh, wait.